Have you ever wondered what would happen if the myth of King Midas was real? And I don't mean just turning your food to gold. I mean, what if he touched the earth itself? Let's dive into that spectacular and honestly terrifying thought experiment. So that's the big question, right? What would actually happen if the whole earth, everything on it, suddenly turned into solid gold? It sounds like something out of a fantasy novel, but once you start applying the laws of physics, well, the answer is a mind-bending trip into total planetary destruction. We all know the story of King Midas, right? It's that classic cautionary tale. Be careful what you wish for. His golden touch became a curse that almost starved him. So, we're going to take that curse and scale it up, way up, applying it to our entire world and turning it into a recipe for a global apocalypse. Okay, so to even begin to tackle this from a science perspective, we've got to set some ground rules for our so-called magic, right? How does something actually become gold? What's going on at the atomic level? Let's try and define the physics of this curse. And here is the single most important thing you have to understand. Gold is gold because of its atoms. It's packed with 79 protons and 118 neutrons, which makes it incredibly heavy and dense. Compared to the common elements that make up our world and us, carbon, oxygen, hydrogen, those things are like feathers. And this huge difference in density, that's the key to this whole apocalypse. To get our heads around the physics, let's use a simple example. Let's say a duck. Now, our Midas magic could go one of two ways. It could either replace every single atom in that duck with a gold atom, or it could just rearrange the atoms the duck already has into gold atoms. And believe me, these two methods lead to wildly different and equally terrible outcomes. All right, let's dive into scenario one, rearranging the atoms. So imagine this. King Midas, he trips and touches the ground. And in a flash, every atom on Earth, the rocks, the oceans, you, me, it all gets magically reassembled into gold. No new stuff is added, nothing is taken away. We're just working with what we've got. And right away, we have a huge catastrophic problem. See, because gold is so much denser than everything else, when you rearrange the Earth's original atoms into gold atoms, you're left at these massive, empty gaps on an atomic level. The planet still has the same amount of stuff, the same mass, but now it's basically a giant, super unstable sphere of golden foam. And here's where it all goes wrong. A foamy planet just can't exist. Its own gravity is so powerful, it will immediately start crushing all those gaps, causing the entire world to just collapse in on itself. So try to imagine this for a second. The ground under you just gives way. But here's the crazy part. Since the entire surface is falling with you, you wouldn't feel like you're falling at all. It would just be this bizarre 10-minute period of total weightlessness as you and everything around you just plummet towards the planet's new, rapidly shrinking core. And that 10-minute free fall, it ends badly. The entire surface slams into that newly compressed solid gold core at 30,000 kilometers an hour, instantly. Everything, every person, every building is just obliterated. Now, all the energy from that insane impact has to go somewhere, right? Well, it gets converted into heat, a truly unimaginable amount of heat. The core of our new gold Earth flashes to millions of degrees Celsius. We're talking as hot as the core of a star. So let's just run through that disaster sequence one more time. The foamy Earth collapses. The surface free falls and smashes into the core, creating a super hot center. That heat then generates a titanic shockwave that rips back out and poof! It instantly vaporizes the entire surface into a glowing cloud of golden plasma, shining brighter than our own sun. What an end, right? All right, so that first method was a complete catastrophe. What about our other magic rule? What if, instead of rearranging atoms, the Midas Touch just instantly replaces every bit of matter with an equal volume of solid gold? No foam, no gaps, just a solid golden ball the exact same size as Earth. Well, this brings us to a totally different, but equally catastrophic problem. Because gold is so incredibly dense, our brand new Earth is now instantly 3.5 times more massive than it was before. And more mass means more gravity, a lot more gravity. And the first thing you would feel, your own weight. Instantly, you weigh 3.5 times what you normally do. I mean, unless you're a world-class powerlifter, that force would just slam you flat to the ground, probably crushing you under your own weight. And it's not just you. The devastation would be everywhere, all at once. Birds would literally drop from the sky. Buildings, which were never designed for that kind of load, would just crumble into dust. The atmosphere, now 3.5 times heavier, would compress and heat up the whole planet to 150 degrees Celsius. That's hot enough to bake everything on the surface. Even the mountains would crumble, because gold is actually much weaker than rock. And all of this would trigger planet-shattering earthquakes and unbelievable tsunamis washing over the new golden continents. So yeah, as we've seen, it doesn't really matter how the magic works. Whether you rearrange the atoms or replace them, the Midas Touch isn't a gift. It's an instant planetary death sentence. Two totally different sets of physics rules, both leading to the exact same result: total annihilation. So let's just compare the two final fates side by side. Rearranging the atoms, that gives you a low-density implosion, and you end up with a tiny, star-hot ball of gold surrounded by plasma. Replacing the atoms, that gives you a high-density gravitational crush, and you're left with a super-heavy planet that's been drowned under a boiling 3-kilometer-deep ocean. Neither of those sound great. That final picture from the second scenario, it's just so chilling. A silent, golden monument to a world that's gone. It would be beautiful, I guess, but completely lifeless, just baking under a crushing, superheated atmosphere. And all of this really leaves you with one last thought, doesn't it? We started with a simple fairy tale, a little bit of magic, but just by applying the basic laws of physics, gravity, mass, energy, we uncovered consequences that are so much more spectacular and, frankly, more terrifying than any ancient story could have dreamed up. So what does that say about the unbelievable power that's just hidden in the rules